Good afternoon. We'll call the meeting to order. I want to welcome everyone to the first board meeting, State Boards of Pardons and Parole for the new year. And I want to thank Dr. Ray. Did he come in? I guess he stayed outside. I want to thank him for hosting the board for this offsite meeting. The board is trying to do this more. We were at Hayes State Prison a few months back as an offsite meeting, and then had a meeting in our regular meeting room in Atlanta, and then had the opportunity to come here to Columbus with the anticipation of Victims Visitors Day tomorrow. And Dr. Rainier graciously agreed to allow for us to come and meet here today. That being said, let's open it up to see if there's other members of the board that wish to make welcoming remarks. Chairman Emeritus.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just say hello to all the staff that I may not have spoken to, and it's so nice to have an off-site meeting and to be here in Columbus today. Coming in this morning into town, I was reminded of what a beautiful city Columbus is. I haven't spent much time here since I've been with the board, but in my previous role, I was here a lot, and it's a great city. Now I understand the second largest city in Georgia. So it's just great to be here. I had a great holiday break, and I hope that all of the staff and my colleagues did. So looking forward to conducting business today. Thank you.
Let me just say hello to everyone. Happy New Year, and hope you've had a good few holidays and trying to get back started again. We're off to a fast start, and great to be here in Columbus. Columbus got a lot of rich history for this state, and we'll continue to in the future as well. And just want to say thanks, Columbus, for letting us come and be here.
It's like Yogi Berra said, deja vu all over again. Every time I come down this direction and pass by the post, I'm reminded of those great words, the best words that were ever said. Far across the Chattahoochee to the Yucatan stands my loyal alma mater, Benning School for Boys. Yeah, if you get a chance today, go over and take a look at the Infantry Museum. There's years of great history there. My father matriculated in World War II on Red Hill through here. I spent both basic and advanced courses here. It's a great Army post and a great community. And if you get a chance, make sure you tour the downtown area. Will be tomorrow. It's beautiful in Georgia. So welcome back from the holiday season. You all look very refreshed and rejuvenated. So we're looking forward to another great year. Thanks, Mr.
Well, my memories of Fort Benning probably weren't as fond as I've done some time at Fort Benning also as a private when I started, 15 years ago. But every time I come down, was it 185? Coming down here, I get kind of goosebumps, but it is a fabulous post. It's a premier training post in the United States Army. For everything from airborne schools to the Air Assault School, United States Army Ranger School is here, Infantry Museum, absolutely. Armor, the Armor's now it's the Maneuver Center of Excellence. It used to be called the building for the Infantry Hall, but they've combined, of course, as everyone that is from Columbus knows, the Columbus area has exploded within the last 5 to 10 years. They brought the Armor Center down from Fort Knox with the infantry folks so they can train together. So Columbus really is a really interesting place, town. Downtown is gorgeous. It's a new year, so everybody get ready with your New Year's resolutions. Stay with it. I've seen a couple of folks, Michael and David, have lost, seems like a significant amount of weight. I'm already behind the power curve. But I'm looking forward to spending this year with you all and doing some really good things for the state.
Excellent. Thank you, Mitch. Before we move forward, I'm going to ask Director Morrison to introduce the members of his team who are here to help us with security and other matters.
Sir, thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to thank Regional Director Tammy Stubbs and her staff in the Columbus office, Jody Dillard, Chief Parole Officer, Assistant Chief Willie Rutland, Specialized Parole Officer Joseph Obermeyer, Parole Officer John Rush, Kenneth Coon, Jessica Geister, Stacy Grizzard, and Nicholas Stein. They've taken time out of their busy schedule to be here to provide security. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you much for having us. Okay, that being said, I'm gonna call on our chaplain, James Hill. He's coming up with the order.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, board members. Lord, we thank you for this another day, for a brand new year. Lord, you brought us safely through 2014, and you have brought us to a new year, God, and we just ask right now that you will continue to be with us, continue to keep us safe from all hurt, harm, or danger. All of those in the parole family, those at the district office level, those in central office, all of our brothers and sisters in uniform, we just ask that you would continue to lead, guide, guard, and direct our paths. Master, we thank you for the opportunity to serve. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of this great state, and we pray for continued wisdom. We pray for continued knowledge and understanding. Now, God, we ask that you would please occupy this place, that your presence might be felt. It is in your name that we pray. Amen.
This time we'll ask for approval of the agenda. The agenda is in your packets. You probably have an opportunity to look at that. Chair will open floor for a motion to approve the adoption agenda.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second? There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The agenda has been adopted. First order of business would be the adoption of minutes from December the 8th. Those minutes were emailed to you. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to look over them. If there are corrections that need to be made, now would be the proper time to make those corrections. If not, then the chair will ask for a call for a motion to adopt the minutes from December the 8th.
Give your motion.
There's a motion, is there a second? There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are adopted. In December's meeting, the board had a provisional proposal, amendment number 475-3-10, which one brought before the board. At that time, the board adopted that. It was set out for 30 days for public comments. At this time, I'm going to turn this segment over to our attorney, Juan Smith, to bring that back before the board.
Thank you, Chairman. So before I proceed with that, there's also on the agenda, the adoption of the minutes from the regular board meeting December 2nd. If you all would vote on that.
Okay, let me see if I can get those out of the look at that. December the 2nd. Okay, I have them in front of me now. So we have December's meetings in front of, minutes in front of us as well. I guess each member have those. Are there any corrections needing to be made before those minutes? If not, the chair will ask for a motion to adopt the minutes from December 2nd.
So motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? It's been carried. Those minutes have been adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, during the last board meeting, the board provisionally adopted proposed changes to Board Rule 475-3-.10, dealing with other clemency. I'm going to summarize those proposed changes, after which you all can request whether there's public comment. To date, there has been no public comment on these proposed changes. If there are no public comments today, you can go ahead and vote to finally adopt them, after which, after filing with the Secretary of State's office, they will become effective 20 days after the Secretary of State's office accepts them for filing. In paragraphs 1E, 2C, 3A, and B, and 4, the proposals are to formalize the board's and make clear to the public board's current process of considering requests for reprieves, commutations, pardons, restoration of firearm rights, Remissions of sentences to be considered on the written record only without a hearing. Also, paragraph 2C and 3A establish a 5-page limit for, with the exclusive of exhibits for applications for commutations in non-death sentence cases and pardons of innocence. In paragraphs 3A and 3B, provide for notice to registered victims and applicable district attorneys when the board is considering granting a pardon to a former violent or sex offender. The 10 days, they would have 10 days to provide information to the board for consideration before you all vote on whether to grant that pardon. It does not imply innocence. Paragraph 4 would provide for notice to registered victims and applicable district attorneys when the board is considering restoring firearm rights to former offenders. Again, providing 10 days for them to provide information to the board to consider before restoring firearm rights to those particular offenders. Also, we have in paragraph, this 3B, provide for a 10-year waiting period for sex offenders before they're eligible for consideration of a pardon that does not imply innocence. And that paragraph also refers to the applicable waiting period instead of a specific time period, as it deals with both sex offenders and non-sex offenders. And finally, we have some miscellaneous revisions, paragraph 3B and paragraph 6. Reword language pertaining to the eligibility requirement for pardons not implying innocence and restoration of rights, by stating that they have been free of supervision, custodial or non-custodial, and or criminal involvement for the applicable time period. And also some changes reflecting the change in the name of Department of Rehabilitation to the Department of Corrections in first paragraph of the rule. And then some just grammatical changes, add an S to reprieve in paragraph 1A, add an S to condition, and a comma after the word thereof in paragraph 1D as in David. That concludes my presentation. As I stated earlier, there have been no public comments today on these proposed changes. So Mr. Chairman, you can ask for public comment and then after that, take a vote on the final adoption of these proposals.
So the posture we're in now, after 30 days of being out in the public on particular proposed rule change, I'll open this up to the floor to see if there are public comments before the board now on this specific issue and this specific issue only. Is there public comments to be made?
Mr. Chairman, did we get any feedback from the General Assembly, our legislative colleagues? We provided them copies, didn't we?
There were, actually, we're statutory bound to send it to the chairman of each of the committee, the Senate as well as the House, for which has oversight of the board, and each of those have been notified. And to my knowledge, that there was no comments from them as well. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Any public comments? Hearing no public comments, is there more comments from the board themselves before I call for a motion? Then the chair will call for a motion to adopt provisions, the board rule 475-3-10. Is there a motion? We adopt.
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. None opposed. The motion carries. Thank you much. Now we'll look at new business. I think Director Staten will bring 3 policy changes before the board this time, if you will.
Thank you, sir. Board Policy 2.100, preliminary hearings. The ACA standards references were removed from policy as we are no longer under those standards.
This is 2.10, and it's simply just taking out the ACAA standard from the policy. All right.
Yes, sir, the ACA standard, that's correct.
Any questions from the members? If none, is there a motion that we adopt?
Every motion.
There's a motion, is there a second? There's a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, motion carries.
Surfboard Policy 2.112, Equipment Assignment and Acquisition, in Section 1.106.1, point 4.1, a statement was added to clarify that employees with the position of Chief Parole Officer are assigned badges that are engraved with District Chief.
Any questions from the members?
Just one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that the ACA standard 3.3-3025 still shows, I assume we're still under that standard, Barb?
We are not under ACA standards.
Well, I know as a department or as an agency, we're not. So should we not be striking the standard that shows on this policy?
Sir, we probably should be. Yes, sir, we will.
Okay.
So actually then what you'd want to do is amend the motion to also strike the standard, basically, standards 3.003-3025. And what about the LE standard?
I do not believe we're under those either.
And we should
And-
strike those.
Strike them
and
both. I
strike the LE
apologize for that.
standard
Yes, sir.
3.11 as well, as we adopt the new language. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. Thank you.
Is that the understanding of each board member? Is that good with you, Counselor?
Yes.
Anything further? Any other questions from members? Okay, is there a motion that we adopt the provision as amended?
So motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And the motion carries. Okay. You have one more?
Sir, I do. I apologize. I just lost my screen.
Do you want a paper copy?
Thank you, sir.
Not my paper.
Right. The old fallback.
Policy 2.114, local detention use. Here again, we're removing the ACA standards, as we did with the last one. There are no law enforcement standards on here, so it would just be the ACA standards.
Is just simply removing the ACA standards alone from the provision.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions from the members? Hearing none, is there a motion that we adopt?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Apologize. Thanks.
Okay, next item of business is the director's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, and Happy New Year to you. 2014 was an excellent year, and I think 2015 is on target to be even better. Barb, don't worry about your technology. In 2001, I had the privilege of going to Command College here, and we were working off of overhead projectors. So, no big deal there. But I do want to echo also my appreciation to Dr. Rainey and the Command College. We are fortunate. We've had several staff in this room without the agency that have earned their master's degree through Columbus State University. We now scholarship 2 per year and have at any given time 6 to 8 enrolled, and also the professional management program. Several of our staff who do not have a college degree are able to go to that program. So those things are possible, number one, with your support, and number two, with programs like the Georgia Law Enforcement Command College. So we are certainly appreciative of it. As you know, the other thing, we're in town, in addition to the board being committed to travel throughout the state and hold board meetings, but we have our first Victim Visitors Day of 2015, which is tomorrow in Columbus. Shalanda Robertson and the Victim Services Unit are in fact at the Consolidated Government Center now, setting up for that to get underway tomorrow. I believe last count, there are just over 60 victims that will meet with the board individually and one-on-one. It will be a long day, and I believe with them, they have about 160 individuals in all. But certainly appreciate the board's time and commitment to sit down and talk with victims on a one-by-one basis. It bodes very, very well. Some good news. On Sunday evening, American Probation Parole Association will award the Georgia State Board of Pardons and Paroles with the Excellence in Public Safety Award. And that is specifically over our Max Out Reentry program. If you'll remember, just over a year ago, the board supported that effort from the concept all the way to implementation. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special accolades to Tammy Stubbs, who kind of took the courage to change her seat on the bus and left with the chief and went to implement that program. Very good. James Hill actually came up with a title, Max Out Reentry Program. Don't want to overlook that. And to this day, Barbara Neville now manages that program and is doing extremely well. It's saving the state a great deal of money, but more importantly, it's working to better transition those that are maxing out in prison into the community, which is enhancing public safety. We have also received the invite next summer to participate by invite only in the World Congress on Community Corrections. So I think that bodes well for the board and what is being done. We just released yesterday our fiscal year 14 annual report, another quality product. I think, you know, if, in all seriousness, if you take 20 to 30 minutes to read that report, you'll see the great work being done by the board and have a great understanding of it. I specifically want to compliment Steve Hayes on his stellar job in producing that report, as well as everyone else that was involved on it. We will be sharing with the board our budget presentation. As you know, we did not appear personally before Governor Deal, but I will be providing that budget presentation to you later today. But in essence, we have a flat budget, no increase, but certainly no removal from our budget. So that's good. We can maintain with what we're doing. I will say I'm very appreciative of the governor and Office of Planning and Budget, because they have stayed committed that when we save money, we can reinvest it in our operation. They have held true to that over the past 2 years, and that continues to make us stronger as an agency. Talking about budget, great news. Again, we underwent a fiscal audit with 0 findings. Matter of fact, Department audits, they were extremely complimentary of Lisa Reed and the budget staff. That's pretty difficult to do, to have 0 findings. This was especially important because they had just embarked on a new cash management system. So it was a system that was fairly new to them. So that just shows not only did they adopt it, implement it, but also managing with it very, very well. So congratulations to our team in budget under Lisa Reed's leadership.
Michael, have we ever had one with 0 findings?
We have, it's my understanding, we have. It's very rare, especially as a state agency, to have 0 findings, because, you know, it's very complicated. But in this case, what really made it was an entirely new system. It really was a game changer for budget. So very, very proud of that team right there. It certainly is, sir. As you know, legislative session will begin soon. Rita Rocker will be at the helm with that, and our staff will be turning around analysis within a 24-hour time frame. Patrick Price is now in that developmental assignment role. Pleased to have him under Rita's leadership. Exciting news, and I'll go ahead and give some accolades to Lisa Reed and Reginald Hewlett. And when you wonder in administration whether your job is making a difference or not, I shared an email with you. I'll probably even have a chance to see it. We have partnered with Motorola, and we have also partnered in accessing Georgia State Patrol and their radio frequencies. So that was good collaboration. Here's the importance of it. Soon, our officers will be able to communicate via mobile access throughout the state on their radios. So sometimes at the end of the day, you wonder if that's making a difference. Well, that right there enhanced every bit of the work that our officers are doing in the field to allow for that safety. It's a lease program that Reginald Hewlett did a lot of work on research and supported by Director Morrison and Lisa Reed. And I want you to understand that up until the evening the evening of December 31st, she was still working on this contract with the AG's office to make it happen. I think a lot of folks, it would have been real easy to say, we're just not going to get this done. In fact, you'll see in the email, Motorola at 10 o'clock that morning said, thanks for all your help. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And Lisa Reed said, don't give up yet. And she came through. So just another good work with budget administration as well as field operations.
Michael, if I could just be clear, are you saying that this puts us in touch with other arms of law enforcement throughout the state?
Absolutely. That's always been a very challenging thing to do. I know Mr. Cotton from being out in the field, from a deputy's perspective, there's an assumption that you can always communicate, and that's simply not the case. But now, with these new radios, we do have that capability, and we'll be always within communication with other arms of law enforcement. And again, very appreciative of State Patrol for allowing us to collaborate with them in their frequencies. So,
May I ask, is probation, do they have that luxury themselves, or are they still trying to figure out how to communicate as well?
they have means of communication. I do not believe it is this broad where they can communicate at this level and this rate. So this is fairly new, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to hear some more information about it later on, of course, but I just would like to say and give kudos to the commissioner over at DPS, Colonel McDonough, because the State Patrol and its history has had somewhat of a apprehension about sharing radio frequencies and, generally being cooperative, and I'll go ahead and say that. But over the last several years, and especially under Mark's leadership, things like this can happen. Why? Because they make sense. And it doesn't, you have 700 troopers or 1,000 troopers with the network and with the all across the state with 51 posts. And I know that they've collapsed those now to troop radio centers, but there's so much bandwidth that's available to use. So this is a prime example of cooperation in government, and it certainly makes sense. So please, if you would, extend my thank yous to Colonel McDonough.
You certainly will.
But this also increase our frequency range.
It will, yes, sir. Yes, sir. In fact, there are places where we had no radio contact. So not only will it establish, it will also increase that range through the upgrade of these radios. So very, very good. And again, appreciative for Director Morrison for leading that initiative and implementing. Another exciting thing, we're going to start with Parole 101 classes to the Department of Corrections. We reached out to them. We're going to provide approximately an 8-hour block of parole from soup to nuts, and they're going to be able to receive presentations, but also ask any questions about the process, and instead of it being perhaps a myth or operating off of assumptions. Here's the exciting part of that. We simply ask if we could provide this training to the counselors. They took it a step further, and they said, not only are we going to make it mandatory for the counselors, we're going to make it mandatory for the chief counselors, as well as unit managers, as well as deputy wardens of care and treatment. So I particularly want to thank Nancy Smith at Corrections, as well as Rick Jacobs and Assistant Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Owens. So for about the next month and a half, we're going to have staff throughout the state. We're going to them. So at the end of the day, there's no question about the parole process. And I think that's going to be, as far as I know, that's one of the first times that's ever been done. And I think it's going to bode well for both agencies very, very strongly. So I wanted to thank also field operations, but Melody Stewart also for her shop in leading that charge as well. Again, I said thank you to Steve Hayes. It's always good to brag on staff for the annual report, but also Steve again this year led the toy drive, and we changed. Instead of going for toys for tots, we did it with DFACs. They reached out, had a call, and as always, parole staff responded. Also for the canned food drive. In fact, those were delivered by Patrick Price yesterday to Atlanta Food Bank. So again, helping out where we can. So a lot of good news stories. I would ask if there are any questions, issues, or redirect from the board. Very good. One final thing, I regret it now, but I am giving up my parking space for 30 days. Entered a draw. It sounded real good at that time, rethinking that, but Mr. Chair, there were 29 that entered into that drawing by donating toys. They put their name on the list. If you would be so kind to just select a number from 1 to 29 for me, sir.
Well, I have two numbers. I'm just trying to determine which one to give.
I'm not giving 2 spots up, sir. I'm giving
All right.
They can double party, but.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 18.
18. I would holler Rig, but Teresa Lee. So we'll make note, but I'll be giving my spot up to her. But again, staff came through. They made a good Christmas for kids that were in need, and hopefully some folks that would have otherwise gone to bed hungry are going to go to bed on a full stomach. So again, that speaks to the backbone of parole, what parole is all about. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for your leadership, and again, Happy New Year too.
Yeah, I just want to, Mike, while you're up there, I just want to commend you too for your leadership. Things don't happen by accident. Things start at the top, and I'm just sitting here and looking at my colleagues about to begin another year, and we're hearing all these great accolades and things that reflect your great hard work. The idea of going to APPA and going to the community corrections, doing such a great job out there in the community. It's just, it reflects your hard work and determination and your leadership. I just want to say thank you from a personal perspective.
I'd like to add on to that too. As many of you know, I worked in several different organizations throughout my career. And I gotta say, all in all, the parole board is probably the most polished and just friendly place that I've ever worked in my entire career. And that's a testament, I think, to your the way you go about carrying yourself and the tone that you set too. So that's important also. It's always great to get the job done and the commission done. That's mission first, people always. So as long as we keep that in 2015, I think we'll surpass what we've done in 2014.
Yeah, and I think too, Braxton, our future rests with the good staff that we have on board, but also new employees. We had the opportunity yesterday in the office to welcome 4 new staff who have tremendous potential. And I think we've done well in hiring people to add to our already well-prepared staff, and that's going to make a difference in 2015.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, we are at the public comment section. And I will say that we'll open the floor for public comments, but the board will not at this time entertain public comments on specific offenders. We'll do that tomorrow. But what we will do is open the opportunity for any particular comments on any matter that we discussed today in today's meeting, if there are those. If you have a specific offender that you want to discuss, then you can call our call center at 404-656-4661. But that being said, are there anything specifically that you want to discuss or make comments on and about today's meeting? Doesn't appear that anyone wishes to make comments. Going once, going twice. Looks like an adjournment resolution is in order. Is there a motion that we adjourn?
Give your motion.
Your motion, is there a second?
Second.
The second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are standing adjourned.